how can we have a great sleep? And let's start with meals, because we often hear that meal timings affect the quality of sleep. So according to you, what is the ideal gap between dinner and bedtime?
It's an excellent question. I'm going to answer it with three different answers for a reason. They're all food related.
Okay.
So in general, you do not want to go to bed on a full stomach. It leads to simple things like indigestion. If your stomach is full, as your body enters sleep, it slows down everything, including your digestion. You may wake up and realize, oh my God, I'm still feeling full from that dinner I had last night. That indigestion can interrupt people's sleep.
Okay.
The other problem is sometimes, and I don't, Indian food can sometimes be spicy, can
Always,
also
not sometimes.
can lead to reflux, heartburn, gastroesophageal reflux disease, and that can interrupt your sleep. And so you want to make sure if you do have a spicy meal, you give your body at least a few hours to digest. You don't want it sitting in your stomach, because then you lay down and those spices can slowly make their way up and cause the heartburn. And that's a major cause of insomnia, people that just can't fall asleep because they're dealing with heartburn. Okay. But the other two answers are caffeine and alcohol. So besides food, other things that we commonly ingest. So caffeine, in the time that I've been here in India, I've enjoyed the tea-centric culture here because we drink a lot of coffee in the US. We don't drink enough tea. Tea is so healthy for you.
Yes.
But I see that people will drink tea even late into the day. What I've learned just for myself, and everybody's different, is after 2 or 3 p.m., I cannot drink caffeine because I realize it does affect my sleep even hours later. Yes. So the other thing I would say is if caffeine is a part of what you eat or drink, try and limit that to, by mid-afternoon, you shouldn't really be having caffeine, especially if you have sleep disorders. And then alcohol. The good rule of thumb, so alcohol, as I mentioned, you might drink a lot and then just pass right out and it feels like you're sleeping, but it is impairing your sleep.
So that's basically sedation dressed as sleep, but people often get confused.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So the rule of thumb, a good rule of thumb is for every alcoholic beverage that you consume in an evening, you need an hour for each one before you go to bed. So if you have 2 glasses of wine at dinner, make sure you have at least 2 hours of a gap before you go to sleep.
In Europe, I think there's a culture of having a drink after dinner, after their meal.
Yes.
So I think that's not a good idea, maybe.
Unless you give it time. Unless you give it enough. If you have a glass of wine with your dinner and then maybe a little, digestif, as they call it in France, after dinner.
Yeah, I think they drink limoncello
in Italy,
as a digestive drink post meals.
Yes. So if you have a glass of wine and a limoncello, that's 2. Make sure you have at least 2 hours before you go to sleep. Okay. You want to metabolize that alcohol, so that is mostly out of your system, so your sleep is actually sleep and not sedation.
Yes, I think that's a very good practical formula which you gave. The number of drinks you have, make sure the same number of hours you have to your bed.
Yes. And it's, again, that's why I say it, because it's an easy rule to remember.
We all know that gut health is essential and it affects nearly all processes and systems of our body. Does it also affect our sleep?
So the bacteria that live inside your intestines, which are very, very important for our lives, they help us digest our food. And that gut microbiome, the more varied that it is, apparently helps people maintain better sleep. Okay. The evidence is very early, but what I've learned, and I am not a nutritionist, things like fermented foods, yogurt, kombucha, are very good for maintaining a healthy gut microbiome. And so that's what I try and do. I do drink kombucha regularly and I eat Greek yogurt regularly. I don't know if that's helped my sleep as much as my CPAP, but again, it's just part of being healthy.
I think it's all of it.
It's all of it.
It's a lifestyle and precautions that you take care of. And as you said, fermented, I think being in India, we have a lot of options when it comes to fermented food, especially when we look at South Indian cuisine. That is, we have so many options which are fermented and good for your gut flora. Let's talk about the physical environment of sleep. What is the ideal environment? Like, let's talk about room temperature. when we put ourselves to sleep, how should the room feel? Like cozy, warm, or cold? What is the ideal temperature?
So this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
The cold, not cold,
Cold as in
but
like
cooler the
yeah.
better. And I know, and sometimes in a tropical or subtropical climate, that may be very hard to do, especially if you don't have air conditioning. But yes, it's better to be cool in the room than warm, which is very strange. Me personally don't like a cold bedroom. I prefer that warm, cozy feeling and a nice big blanket.
Yeah.
But that's actually less conducive to sleep for whatever reason. Having a room, I'm going to get the degrees wrong because I'm going to mention them in Fahrenheit and try to do the conversion. But, closer to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, which is maybe closer to 15, 17. We can ask Siri later.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we'll
but
figure
cool.
that out.
But it should be cool. It should be dark. It should be completely dark. So one of the things that we struggle with in this modern era is everything's got a little LED on it, right?
Yeah.
So you might think your room is dark, and then you open it up and you go, oh, my clock has a little green LED.
There's some light from somewhere you don't know.
Yeah, the charging cord for my mobile phone has a little LED or something, or they're everywhere. And so it should be no light until the sun. It should be as dark as you can make it. And if you can't make it dark, get a pair of those shades for your eyes.
Yes.
So dark, cool, and quiet. It has to be quiet, no distractions, no disruptions. That's the best. Now, obviously, some people have pets in the home that jump in and out of the bed, and that can be disruptive.
Yeah.
Or children who disturb you. You may be a shift worker and sleeping during the day, and you hear the street noise out. So it's not always easy to get dark and cold and quiet, but do your best.
That's a personal question, actually. I have a pet who sleeps right next to me, and in the middle of the night, he will just start licking my face. And that's how my REM and non-REM breaks, and then I get back to like square one.
Yes.
Is there a solution to that?
Maybe he needs a CPAP. No. Put some very spicy food on your cheek, so when he licks your face, he'll learn not to do it again. Other than that, you might have to ask a veterinarian.
And how about the firmness of mattress? Does that also matter?
It varies for everyone. And yes, the more firm the mattress tends to be the better, but some people really prefer soft. What happens is when you change, if you find the firmness that's good for you and you get used to it, you go on vacation and you sleep in a hotel and you're used to firm and they have soft, or you're used to soft and they have firm. That change is an adjustment that your body, especially your spine, has to go through. You're used to a certain level of support, especially in the direction in which you sleep. Now it has changed, and your spine and your muscles are flexing in different directions. More firm tends to be better for most people, but not everyone. But just be aware, when you change, the change can be jarring.
That actually brings me to this, that at times I have experienced myself that we get better sleep in a hotel room. Maybe because of the physical environment they must have created very thoughtfully, the ideal, temperature and the dark curtains, and there's no noise. The rooms are mostly soundproof. Because of the environment, is that the reason we get better sleep in?
Probably, absolutely, yes. So think about it. How often have you gone on vacation, and because you're not paying for the electricity, you make the air conditioner a little bit colder than you would at home, right? It's like it's their electricity, it's their air conditioning, and you make the room a little bit colder. And they make it dark, and they make it quiet. And all of a sudden, those three magical elements that not everyone has at home, it's dark, it's quiet, I've cooled down the room, I get under the comfy sheets. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
so try
what
to
happens.
recreate that environment at home.
Yes.
Doctor, I also heard a lot of people use white noise or pink noise. Are these really helpful or just a trend? By the way, I also use white noise at times, but I would like to know from you.
No, they are helpful. Actually, I think, so I use brown noise. I don't know if you've heard of brown noise.
Never heard of that.
So white noise is, I may get this wrong, so if there's an audiologist out there, forgive me. If I understand this correctly, white noise is like all frequencies across all, it just sounds like static.
Yes.
Pink noise prioritizes higher frequencies. So it's like white noise, but a little bit higher frequencies. Brown noise is prioritizing the lower frequencies. So it almost feels like a low rumble. My wife loves white noise to fall asleep. She actually loves the sound of waves crashing, which is very white, but also has that brown noise mixed in because it's the low rumble and the whoosh of the waves. Sorry, I'm making all the noises. But yeah, so they all can be helpful. And I think it's a personal preference. But again, what I've seen in the research that I've looked at is white noise tends to be used more for sleep, brown noise more for relaxation.
And how about these lights? So the red light therapy, and then there are red light masks, glasses. Do they also help?
So yes, they can. And I think I mentioned before, the light from our screens and from television screens tends to be further into the blue spectrum, which mimics the effect of the sun on our hormonal balance, like melatonin and others. And red light is the light that activates that the least. And so, yes, so people, if they need light, and so it's red light therapy, but also if you need to turn on a light at night, they recommend if you can turn on a red light, is better than turning on the light. And yes, there are, like, you may have seen blue blocker glasses that you can wear, so you can be on your phone and it supposedly blocks the blue light. I use an iPhone, so Apple's iPhone has a setting where they change
night mode.
Yes, and they change the character of the LED backlight to reduce the blue wavelengths. I mean, those are helpful, but you just want to try to avoid that blue light and either no light, or if you're going to use light, red light is definitely better.
Okay. So that helps. Like, it's not just fashion, it really works.
Yeah.
To watch the entire episode, you can head to our main channel, Gunjan Shouts, link of which is in the description below.